after a while when you're watching these videos, it can get a little boring, and you see that everybody's dealing in similar things. And this is because the human body's basically simplistic and the same. So we all have the same conditions. It's nothing mystery. And we all clean up the same too. We are of the same species. So everybody gets treated the same. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Think about this. Every one of us is uniquely different, thank God. But so is our genetic weaknesses, so is the amount of lymphatic weaknesses we have, or lymphatic congestion we have, adrenal weaknesses, neurological weaknesses. So there's just everybody's unique. So you can't just always smack a label on. You can treat everybody the same because we're a species, but everybody's going to be different in their levels and their degrees. Some are going to take longer, some are going to be shorter. You can't tell those things. That's the one thing I really can't tell anybody. It also depends on the person, their heart, their willingness, their knowingness, their emotional states, which is their adrenal states. I mean, there are so many factors involved in a person's psychic and their wellness journey. It's tough. That's why you can only put it in their hands, not yours. It'll mess you up to take on all these people's journeys. You can't do that. I know what works. I've done it on myself. And if it works with me, it works with her, it works with everyone else, because we're all part of the same species. Blood types, throw it in the wastebasket. Exactly. We're a species. You don't see that in any other species. Horses don't say, hey, I'm a different blood type. You can't be eating that grass over there, wrong kind, go over there, eat those. You know, you don't hear that kind of crap anywhere. It's all just more crap. You know, we're a species. What's good for you is good for me. You might be genetically compromised in an area I'm not, and me an area you're not. And those things do determine how well I deal with fruits, how well I deal with proteins and things like that. But high protein diet affects everybody on this planet the same. Go back to the Eskimos. They only used to live 40-some years. High protein diet. Anywhere you see a high protein culture, their lifespan has always been short. Look at the islanders, their lifespans have always been long. This is just how you look at diets and the relationship of longevity. Jensen spent volumes writing about it. And even though our bodies are different in color, our bodies are different in shape and sizes, our insides are always the same. The only difference between the inner workings of one human over another is their genetics. And of course a little difference between male and female. But outside of that, the human is a race, not a blood type, a race. And anybody that sits there and spends all this time wasting their time on blood types, to me, is idiocy. But the guy makes a lot of money, and people fall into that trap, and some people go back on the high proteins that are losing their kidneys, and then they get in trouble, and you just have a mess out there in this field. But that's a medical field, I think. I disagree totally, sweetheart, Christine, with the blood type stuff. That deals with antigens, that deals with immunity, that has nothing to do with physiology and dietary habits. And I think I disagree totally with this person. We are a species, we are a frugivore species, and just because you've lived in Alaska or you lived in northern climates and you've had high protein diets through your generations and high starch and stuff, that doesn't mean you're not a fruitarian. That means you've been eating wrong and your family's been eating wrong. But that's what happened to the Homo sapiens on Earth. They migrated and spread out like ants across the landscape. Well, they got into hostile environments to the species. We have nothing to protect us from cold environments or killing. We have to invent weapons. So the problem is that you've got to return to these tropical diets. I can take anybody in Mongolia, northern Alaska, anywhere in the cold climates, put them on a fruit diet and clean up anything in their bodies. Yes, the impact of the environment is tough. You guys know that in Canada and those cold countries where you're trying to do all fruit in the winter, really hard, because fruit is alkaline, cold is alkaline, everything's alkaline, and it's out of balance. However, when you get sick and when you get tumors and you get full of acids and pain and swelling, who cares? You want to get alkaline. You want to hydrate. We are Homo sapiens. We are a species, not a blood type. We're a species. No one ever says you're type A, Mr. Giraffe, and your other giraffe over there is B negative. You can't eat the same veggies. That's all stupid thinking. You know, we're a species and our body responds the same. The differences are our genetic weaknesses and how bad is our limb systems. That's what it boils down to, because you can take everyone, put them on the proper tropical diet of which Homo sapiens are designed to eat, and then use the botanicals which God designed to clean and restore the function of cells, and you can bring almost everybody back from anywhere in the world having similar problems. We are a tropical species. There's no denying that. You can say we're paleo, we can say we lived in caves, you can say migrated man did, not original man, migrated man. Almost all the anthropologists and National Geographic, we all agree that man started tropical and migrated. And that migration created the downturn of the diets and things. Doesn't mean it was right. It means that was the move of creation at that time. And now you look at all the health problems, and the remedy is always in your fruits and your berries. Matter of fact, all of you people with the neurological conditions, look at the difference. I'll tell you, especially with MS.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah. Hit a fruit diet for 1 month with MS. Hit a fruit diet for 1 month and then go have you some vegetables or have you some meat or have you some cooked foods. Let me show you neurologically the difference between fruit and vegetables neurologically, or fruit and anything cooked, which is even more bizarre. It's simple. We're fighting over ridiculousness because health is simple. Keep it simple. Don't get overboard. Get away from treatment-based thinking. Just know that you got to change your diet to a diet that fits with the anatomy and physiology of the Homo sapien. Well, that's the tropical diets. You can't argue that. There's too much proof out there now. You have people trying to argue it, but it's like, well, I mean, there's nothing to argue. You can't argue truth. Even National Geographic's on board with that. You can't argue stuff like that because they're baseless. Like we were talking about National Geographic and the Paleolithic periods of time, and they actually weren't heavy meat eaters in those times as previously thought. You know, and they were basing their findings on actual Paleolithic people and what they found in their teeth and in their guts. You know, we just so much propaganda out there. It's just disgusting. Man just can't stand on truth and speak it at all times. But the bottom line, we're one species, and the difference is genetics and lifestyles and all of that. We have the same internal organs and glands. We have the same physiology and anatomy. The only differences is the different levels of steroids and hormones and neurotransmitters by different levels of glandular health. Also the ability to digest or undigest. But you can put them into categories if you want. I don't do that. Because if you do that, everybody's always put you in categories, haven't they? I don't like to be put in categories. Because we are a species. And when you see these different levels, they're in trouble. They need to be fixed. So if you're a fast oxidizer, you need to bring that thyroid down. If you're slow, you need to bring it up. How do you do those things? What makes for a fast thyroid and what makes for a hypothyroidism? See where I'm going with this? You have to trace out why people are the way they are. You can't just say, well, they were designed by God that way and they're unique. This one's designed. You don't see that in the animal kingdom at all. We have this mind that has to classify, organize, isolate, separate. That's the mind that does that.